What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of AI Buzz. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have some awesome things out of the world of machine learning and artificial intelligence for you. Let's get started. So, there's some relatively new research coming out of MIT that indicates that the way asymptomatic people with COVID cough differently than people who are healthy. One of the unfortunate things that I've read about the virus is that there's a large percentage of people who end up being asymptomatic. And this is really problematic because they might think they're healthy and safe from COVID, but really they're carrying it and spreading it to others. Quick and easy ways to stop asymptomatic carriers from traveling or seeing other people in person are definitely needed because right now the spread is pretty much out of control. Integration with existing technologies like a smartphone would be even better, since then people won't have to buy anything new to get an idea of if they have the virus or not. In a new published article in the IEEE Journal of Engineering, Medicine, and Biology, there's a team out of MIT that's looking to do that integration with existing technology. Using audio recordings, this team trained a machine learning algorithm that's able to pick up these subtleties and discern the difference between an asymptomatic forced cough and a healthy forced cough. They state that the differences between these coughs are so minute that they can't really be discerned with a human ear, but that's where our friend machine learning comes in to save the day. In order to get data to train their machine learning model, the research team started a website called opensigma.mit.edu to collect the audio samples that participants submitted. There was enough interest in this study that they were able to collect over 200,000 audio clips of coughs, and at least 2,500 of these clips were from people with confirmed COVID. With all of these samples, they ended up training on just 4,000 of them, and these were split between the positive and negative COVID classes, and they used 1,000 of them to validate and see how well their model performed. The reason they didn't use more of the 200,000 samples is likely because they wanted the number in each class to be evenly distributed among the different training classes. The team trained a version of ResNet 50, which is put out by Google, and were able to detect changes in vocal cord strength, respiratory performance, and even could pick up on degradation of muscles around the vocal cords in those that were asymptomatic with COVID. With the biomarkers identified, which were the subtleties in the cough data and the model that they had trained, they were able to measure accuracy and found that it was extremely accurate. It could detect nearly every asymptomatic cough. So the accuracy here is really stunning, 98.5% overall accuracy. This really confirms their hypothesis that COVID-19, even in those who are asymptomatic, does have a very distinct sounding cough. The press release from MIT also describes this research had been going on before COVID-19 as well. Crazy enough, the research group was actually looking at this similar method for detecting Alzheimer's. The group was originally looking at using this method for detecting Alzheimer's because Alzheimer's affects your vocal cords in a very similar way to COVID, apparently. And they found that they could translate this method almost exactly to this more recent and potentially more pressing use case. So in the end, with this study, they found that AI trained on voice data is really effective at identifying not just COVID, but other diseases as well. This could be huge for COVID and fighting against it. It could really get people out and get tested. I think a lot of people will get tested when something doesn't feel quite right, but there's many asymptomatic carriers with this, and you can have it and not feel any different. This type of machine learning approach could potentially put an end to that, and it's also pretty easy to use. It's not like you have to take a long, extensive test every day. Their website's pretty much several coughs per day, and it's able to distinguish with very high accuracy if you might have it or not. The team is first looking to get FDA approval for this, but then plans to potentially put this into a mobile app that will allow this testing to be distributed at a larger scale. MIT aren't the only ones looking at an application like this. There's a company called Vocalis Health that's looking at using the sound of one's voice to pretty much accomplish the same thing. They're trying to put together one of the largest vocal data sets and use that to predict COVID. And there's a handful of others, such as Carnegie Mellon University, that are looking at these avenues as well. Really trying to use voice data or audio data to really detect this virus and stop the spread. Really incredible stuff out of all of these teams. I really hope they work well and that they can be distributed to the masses through something like Siri or Google Voice Assistant to test people more broadly. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Also, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.